Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. It's me, Addy, again, and I hope you guys are doing amazing as always. So, today I'm back with yet another mini review episode, this time covering the latest entry in the long-running Call of Duty franchise with Black Ops 6, or more specifically, its Zombies mode. That's right, I'm not going to be covering the whole game. In fact, I haven't even touched the campaign and have played less than 5 minutes of the multiplayer, but the Zombies mode on the other hand, well, that's a different story. As a quick TLDR, I've been a big fan of the Zombies game mode going all the way back to the Black Ops 1 days. This has without a doubt been my favorite facet of the franchise, and like many others, I do think that the game mode peaked in Black Ops 3, with my favorite map of all time being Dreisendrache. Speaking of which, there is a brand new map in the same vein as Dreisen that releases in just one day for Black Ops 6, and the trailer looks genuinely amazing, and I could not be more excited for it. And that leads me to saying that this excitement is not something I've felt in a long time when it's come to zombies. Ever since the end of Black Ops 3's life cycle, which reached its zenith with the amazing Zombies Chronicle remasters, I haven't felt the sheer enthusiasm that it did back then whenever a new map dropped and I got to play it, taking on every nook, cranny, wonder weapon, and Easter egg. I did admittedly enjoy Black Ops 4's take on zombies just a little bit, but to a far lesser degree. That game, in my opinion, is where the decline of the game mode began, at least for me. The simplicity, arcadey feeling, and condensed isolated maps that instill this feeling of loneliness, desperation, and fear of the undead slowly began to dwindle over time, instead getting replaced by an inundation of gameplay mechanics that felt out of place in zombies and really made me feel that sometimes simpler is better. And it's because of that that I, someone who no-lifed pretty much every single zombies map religiously back in the day, began to feel apathetic and skipped a whole lot of zombies experiences, namely in Black Ops 4 and Cold War. And while Black Ops 6's debut zombies maps, Terminus and Liberty Falls, do still have that Warzone and multiplayer coded complexity that's been creeping into the zombies game mode, I will say that having played them a good bit this past week with some buddies and having completed the main Easter egg quests, that this new direction that Treyarch has been taking the experience has started to click with me, to the point that I'm now, like I said, really looking forward to the new map, Citadel des Morts, that releases in just one day. While score streaks and zombies, a main Easter egg quest that feels less secretive and more front and center, and maps that largely betray that signature feeling of horror, especially with Liberty Falls, which I am absolutely not a fan of in that regard, do dampen the experience quite a bit, on top of some smaller things like zombies no longer awarding points per shot, not being able to strafe around teammates when trying to revive them, intro cutscenes not playing upon firing up the map, and much more. I will say that the physical design and layout of the maps themselves have absolutely gotten better, especially when you factor in the extra mobility you now have to vault over a whole host of objects, taking the classic concept of training zombies to a whole new level of fun. There is more to do now in the maps themselves, with Terminus, the bigger of the two launch maps, being a good example, with how you now have a boat you can use to traverse a whole host of islands scattered around the main playable area, and the steps for the staple Easter egg quests, which have become progressively more essential to the zombies experience, are well thought out here, and have been embellished quite a bit with interesting steps, entire cutscenes, and boss fights in a scale that we've never seen before. And despite the sensory overload that is Call of Duty as a whole now, with its plethora of confusing menus, mechanics, features, and more, many of which are less than desirable, I absolutely appreciate that the developers implemented a new difficulty mode here titled Directed, which essentially allows you to go through a version of the map that will cap itself at round 15, and where you'll get objective markers explaining how to do the main Easter egg quest, of which many steps are not only designed with the story in mind, but also with you uncovering almost every part of the map and getting a majority of its secrets and wonder weapons. I think that this is not just the best part of Black Ops 6's zombies experience right now, but it's also one of the best things that has ever been added in the history of the game mode, and something that should have in fact been implemented yesteryear. I cannot tell you how much more dramatically fun my very first stream of Black Ops 6 Zombies was last week due to Directed mode. I learned pretty much everything about not just one map, but both of them in one sitting of simply playing through the maps organically with the game telling me what to do, and without the pressure of taking too long getting things done as the rounds went too high, since the mode essentially capped the difficulty of the zombies at 15, thereby enabling me to learn and explore at a comfortable pace. This allowed me to really get a solid grasp of the maps before playing with my friends a few nights ago to then complete the Easter eggs on the classic normal difficulty. Amazing stuff, especially when you also consider that it's a chill as heck way to just kick back and grind some camos, which, by the way, have never looked cooler. Man, that Nebula camo, which is essentially dark matter for zombies weapons in Black Ops 6, is so tempting to grind towards, and I can absolutely see myself just killing an hour or two from time to time to just mow down some zombie trains on Liberty Falls, which, by the way, has never been more fun. That's right, one thing I will say has gotten dramatically more satisfying over time with each iteration of zombies has been gunning them down as you run them in trains behind you, especially with the wonder weapons, which so far do not disappoint here. The ray gun seems really strong, just like in Cold War, which fixed the only one tiny issue I had in Black Ops 3, which is that the gun was massively underwhelming. And I really do like that new Beam Smasher weapon in Terminus. I cannot wait for the elemental swords in Citadel, which absolutely harken back to the bows for me in Der Reisendrache. They look amazing. Overall, I won't lie, I do still yearn for Black Ops 3's peak zombies experience with how they added the perfect amount of content to make it as ambitious as ever, whilst retaining that core simplicity, which is now anywhere but here. Hope you fellow zombies fans like that pun. Yes, it is cool how customizable loadouts, perks, augments, and gumballs are, but I can't say that I'm a fan of all of that in conjunction with these Warzone elements like scrap salvage, score streak abilities, and more that are clearly here because of the prevalence of Battle Royale, which I'm inherently not a big fan of at all. But that's just more of a subjective thing, and I do appreciate that the directed difficulty mode helps to offset the overwhelmingness brought about by all these additions to an otherwise simple game mode, and I know that we'll never get that facet of the series back. Hell, Black Ops 3, to make you guys feel old, that was almost 10 years ago. We'll never get Black Ops 1 through 3 ever again, but I do hope that we could still get things that have been lost but that I do believe can come back, like creepy maps that feel a sense of isolation, for example. That's sorely lacking nowadays in most zombies maps, and like I said, Liberty Falls is a prime example of that. It is fun to run through, don't get me wrong, and it does serve as a good debut bite-sized map, a series tradition, but the aesthetic leaves so much to be desired. I do not like how it takes place in the middle of the day, and how with the new direction the story and Easter eggs have been taking, your character is always in communication with someone on a radio telling you what to do, or calling in someone via a chopper gunner, which betrays that feeling of isolation and dread. I really want those back at some point, but it's not entirely a deal breaker for me if I don't get those anytime soon, because largely, guys, I've got a pretty good feeling about the future of zombies. I wasn't enthused at all going into Black Ops 6, nor was I after my first few hours of playing it. But the more I have, the more I see just what a difference 4 years of development work on a game can make, and the possibilities when a dev isn't rushed to pump out a game every year, which sadly is the problem that befell the other Call of Duty developers, Infinity Ward, in recent years. I definitely see the effort, and I definitely see the potential, and this year around, for the first time in a long time, I'm considering sticking around for the entirety of Black Ops 6's lifespan to see the mode to the end. I'm genuinely excited. So yeah, at the end of the day, if I had to give Black Ops 6 a rating on my review scale, specifically in the context of the zombies game mode of course, I'd say that it's an experience that I'd recommend, with reservations. I would strongly advise against shelling out for this game, especially if you're an older zombies fan who's only really in it for that game mode and nothing else. Definitely consider playing this via Xbox Game Pass amongst all your other titles if you have a subscription like I do. That's how I'm playing it at the moment. And if you're anything like me and the mode just isn't clicking for you upon your first few hours, but you're in a situation where you really do want to like this given your fond memories of old school zombies, I'd say hold on, give it a bit of time, it will warm up to you, especially via directed mode. That's amazing. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good time. Thank you for checking out my mini review today, and if you'd like to catch my live streams or maybe even play some zombies with me on stream, then feel free to drop by my Twitch, that's twitch.tv/irritableindian, linked in the description down below. But until the next one folks, keep on keeping on.